Alright, this is the beginning of part 1 in a 3-part series on building our 3 web pages. This is the box set, where you will have 3 pages that are styled with one CSS sheet. It's in 3 parts because I'm putting this up on YouTube, and YouTube has a time limit, and unfortunately this takes some time. So I will have a start of part 1, and then I'll tell you when I get there to the end, and we'll keep on going. So watch the parts that you want, and I hope it's helpful. The purpose of this presentation is to help you prepare your 3 HTML files that will be styled with a single cascading style sheet, or a CSS document. The example is the one that's in front of you that shows a logo area that has an image, or as a logo, a title. It has a navigation section of sorts, and each one of these will then be linked for your navigation. And then finally at the bottom there is this content area. You'll notice that the background has one color and the interior of each box has a different background color. It's similar but a darker shade. And the often asked question in class was, did you have to use the same colors I did? And the answer is no. You just have to make it so that it's, reasonably attractive. The text at this point inside the content area is going to be the lorem ipsum dolor sit text that you can get from the web. So let's start from the beginning. I will start a new HTML sheet in Dreamweaver, and it's obviously blank. Now, for the moment, I'm going to get rid of, or at least move this sort of out of the way, because the main window that we want to be able to use is the insert window. If this is not visible under Window, look for Insert. If it's checked, then somewhere or other on the screen you should have it. You may see it looking like this. It's obviously, this title is common because it has things that are most often used, and what we're going to use is the layout section. And the main thing we're going to be using is this, which is the AP, or absolute placement, div. And so we need 3 of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, I might as well put all 3 of them on at once. Oh, there we go. And I will end up styling and sizing them in a bit. But this just sort of gets them all out there to begin with. Alright, so this one is going to be for the logo, this one for the title, and this one for the content. So let's start by going from the design back to the code, and I'm going to call the first one, because that's the one that I put up first, I'm going to call this logo. I'm going to call this title, and then I'm going to call this one content. Now that means that down here in the actual body, notice that this is up in the styling section, which is what we're going to move eventually. But this is the body of the page, and this is what's actually going to show up. We're going to call this logo. We'll call this title, and we'll call this content. Now, you have to spell everything the same, which is usually a challenge for me, so that what you see on what you've titled them here is the same as down here. Now, I'm going to save this, and I will put this in Dreamweaver stuff, and I'll give this as class demo and we'll call this box 1. All right, now if I go back to design, they're still here. It doesn't have much, but it's there. Now in class, one of the things I did was I put a border, and I said that I wanted it to be 3 pixels, and my border style. Now notice that you can have bottom, top, etc. Well, I want the whole thing to be styled the same, and I've been working with Groove because I like that. And now, since I want all these to look the same, I'm going to do this the easy way. I will copy this and I will paste it into the other 2 as I'm going along. And I will save that, and now we'll go back, and there they are. All right, what else had I done? I had made a body tag, and this is the open curly brace, and I want the background color, and I want it to be the light gray. Now, here's the deal. The lightest gray they have is all C's, the darker one is all 9s, and the light one is all F's. So that says that if I want something that is lighter gray than this, I'm going to go to the letters. I'm going to have all the letters, and if I go E, there we go. And we said that this is, colors are RGB for red, green, blue. And so I've got 2, 4, I have 3 sets of 2, and it's in hexadecimal, and that's why that's the way it is. But all right, now I'm going to put in the font family, and I'm going to do Times New Roman, and I'm going to do font size as 18 pixel. All right, and that just sets up what everything should be. Now, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take and make this, I want the inside of each box to be slightly darker gray. So I'm going to do background color, and I'm going to do that color gray. And I'll now copy and paste and paste, and I'm going to make sure that the asterisk goes away when I save it, so that everything does get actually saved, and there it is, and refresh and go back to design, and sure enough, there we go. Now, like I said, you can do anything you want, just make it so that it looks reasonable. Now, I've got most of my styling done. I'll need some other items eventually, but what I can now do is I can open a new CSS document, and I'm going to save this, and I want it in class demo, and so I'm going to call this box CSS so that it all goes together. And now what I can do is take all of this material, all right, everything that had to do with the style, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into the CSS document and save it. I'm going to go back here, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete anything that says style. But now I have to put in my link to the CSS sheet. So link relative, and it's relative to a style sheet. Yes. Okay, and the type is CSS, and href, this is going to, what am I linking to? And I'm going to link to the box CSS. And now I've got to close this. Okay? And if I save this, notice there is no styling on here, but I said that I'm using the ID logo, ID title, ID content, which are referenced back here in the CSS sheet, and holding our breath, oh, there it is. Okay, so that by linking to this external style sheet, I get all of this styling. All right, now let's work with, we're going to, excuse me as I bounce back and forth here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put content in here. This is the title section. So I'm going to go into the title section and I'm going to do SVGS ADV. All right, so I have advanced technology, and I will save that, and now we'll look at it. You know, that is really pretty disgusting. It's up against the upper left-hand corner. So what we did was we said, all right, I want, and I've got to do this in the CSS sheet, I've got to add something called padding. And I want about 25 pixels. Now, the amount of padding that you put in is totally up to you, and it's all in how you want this to look. And if we look at the design, okay, if I click on this, you'll notice that there is this sort of hashed area, and that's the padding. And notice that it tells me when I put the cursor in here, it says padding 25 pixels. All right, now the other thing I want to do is I want the font size to be larger. All right, notice that in the CSS document, my font size for the body is 18. So everything at this point is going to be an 18 pixel type. Well, I want my type size, or my font size, to be larger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go font, come down to size, and I'm going to say 2EM. All right, the EM, this EM, says that it is going to be twice as large. EM is a proportional sizing. So if I go back to this, notice that I now have larger font. And if I go back here to my CSS sheet, I can then say text align, and I can, I can text align center. Now, what happened? I'll show you in a second here. All right, when I hit a return, I get to text align, I press enter, and now if I press center and press enter again, it works. If, however, being sort of repetitively redundant in my error, if I hit enter, if I double click, nothing happens. So what I have to do is highlight the one that I want and press the enter key and then put the semicolon in. I'm now going to do Command S, it's saved, I go back here, and now my text is centered. This is the end of part 1. You should look for part 2, and I will have sent you hopefully links for both, as well as part 3 when we get there.